Derrick writes, I was wondering if you guys have heard any rumors about them doing a sequel to Gone Girl. I would like to see what the next chapter in their story would bring.
Well, I mean, we talked about this a few months ago on Movie Talk, and the fact that the author of the original book said she is going to work. Now, I don't know if she actually went ahead and did it. I haven't looked into it. But she said she was looking into doing a sequel to the novel, which, when you look at how much money Gone Girl made, you have to think the studio would then be at least interested in maybe adapting that as well. There's many, many good arguments for why Gone Girl as a movie is a great standalone individual film and maybe should be left alone. But I am one of those suckers that at the end of that movie, when, and I'm not going to spoil too much, but when the two of them are looking at each other, I'm like, I want to see what happens tomorrow. I was so bought into these characters, especially the two leads. I was so bought into both of them so much, and that freaky dynamic between them, that I wanted to see what happens tomorrow. Dennis brought up a great point. He said that you don't need another film to Gone Girl. I said, I totally agree. You don't need another movie to Gone Girl. But I want one. Even though I don't need it, I want it. It's much like that ice cream bar. I don't need it, but I really want it. So that's what I think. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I hate that usually I'm on the side of make the sequel just because I want it, even though I know you're walking on thin ice. Like, I don't know that it might ruin the franchise or whatever, but more often than not, I do want to see a sequel because I like characters and I want to see those characters in as many situations as possible. With Gone Girl, I think it'd be cool if there was a sequel to the novel. She wrote one. I could listen to it on tape, and then they could decide if they want to do that cinematically or if it even works cinematically. But you're right, the end of that movie, it's like I'm kind of interested, even if they just gave me like as you're walking out of the theater, they just give you like a dossier and you just get to read like what happened the next day and the next week, and you just get to see what happened to these people and how all these relationships ended up.
I'm torn because both of you guys, I'm like, you guys are so spoiled with TV now. You're like, movies are movies. They should just be movies. And like, I think what's happened over the last like 5 years is now, because we have like 10-hour movies on Netflix and stuff, that's seeped into like, we're not satisfied with just a movie. Like I want to see what happens. Because I'm kind of edging into what you guys are saying, but I still don't want to see a Gone Girl sequel. I like the film. I thought it was a really good film, and the way it ended was great, and that was enough for me. I don't want to see a continuation of it. I respect it just as a movie, but there is that kind of thing that exists now because all these other things are constantly getting sequelized, and there's all these other options on television with streaming and this and that, where there's these extended or returning universes that almost nothing ever ends.
Yeah, but I mean,
nothing is ever just a movie anymore.
Like, we respect the movie too as a standalone movie.
Absolutely.
Right. When I was a kid, Honeycomb the cereal had this contest where you could win running through Toys R Us with a shopping cart.
Oh, I remember that.
I remember
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You could put as much toys in there. So that's the mode I'm going into when I say I'd like to see a Gone Girl 2 sequel. If I'm the head of a studio or I'm the mayor of Hollywood and I'm like, you can greenlight that, but you can't greenlight that, that's not going to be the first one I take because it works so well as a standalone. Like, I'm going to take Avatar 2 over Gone Girl 2. But if I and I never won that contest, but God, did I dream about it.
I remember that running through. They've had a couple of those run through the store kind of
They
contests.
don't do that anymore.
I'm just saying
I was training for it.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea, but I would much rather see Fincher and Affleck. The only sequels I want Affleck in are Batman sequels.
Right.
At this point, I haven't even seen him as Batman. So I'm like, stuff that's built already to be sequelized and franchised is what I'm cool with being sequelized and franchised. And these kind of one-off things, that movie works perfectly as a movie. And so that's what I'm trying to argue.
Could the same, as we play a little devil's advocate here, could the same not be said of the original Godfather?
You're definitely correct.
But that's one example out of a million movies.
And that is unfair because that is one of the greatest films ever made.
Played the G card at him.
And I know. He pulled out Godfather. I'm like, I can't argue with you.
That's how desperate you got to be if you have to pull out the Godfather.
Hang on a second. Might I just
add
add Godfather 3?
What if you had a chance to see Gone Girl? Would you be interested in going to see a sequel, or are you just, nope, one's good enough?
I saw it twice, actually. I really liked the movie. I mean, yeah, I would totally see it, a sequel. I mean, I like the movie so much that I would just be like interested enough if they came out with a sequel, and I probably would be super excited. I don't think I'd be as excited for Gone Girl 2 as I am for like John Wick 2.
Right.
You know, it's not the same sort of like oh my God. But I mean, those two, you have to wonder what the hell is next in their relationship. You
Right.
have
What
to.
kind of devious, horrible stuff are they going to do to each other?
That is
It ended with like.
Well, we don't
that
give too much
intent.
away. Don't give too much away.
You know, it posed that question, like, what is next for these people? And it's like you have to wonder. Anybody who's seen the movie would be so intrigued, like, where would they take this story?
But that's the beauty of the imagination is you can think of that. You don't need to have them
Yeah.
make a sequel. That's why I'm just arguing the point of like movies can just be standalone films, and you can always see the movie again and then think about that and like think about other people. You know, I don't know.
I think, yeah.
You saw it with us. I remember you and Holly were there. There were a few couples in the big group of us when I go see it. I remember walking out of the movie for this one, and like Holly, I felt like Holly, Ann, and the couples that were with us too. I felt like the girls in the couples were all looking at the guys like this. And like all of us guys were feeling a little bit uncomfortable. It's like, we're good, right, baby? It's like it just kind of felt like that.